Good morning, this is Cecil and Blues. Thank you for joining me today for this Final Fantasy XIV video. The European FanFest is this weekend. The keynote address will be broadcast in about 12 hours. Before then, I wanted to take a moment, while I run my daily expert roulette, to talk about what we will hear, what I want to hear, and what I need to hear from this keynote address. The fact that this presentation has been broken into 3 paid events infuriates me, and it should infuriate anyone who doesn't get paid to cover these events. I will put a link to the live stream in the video description below. You can purchase it for £29.99 English pounds, but I feel like that's a bridge too far for most players. It would have been nice if they had offered some sort of discount package at the start for all 3 broadcasts. Costs aside, the truly frustrating thing for me on this is that we're essentially getting a 2-hour press briefing over 3 1-hour presentations spread out over 5 months. There's a lot of retreaded information and minimal details on some systems with exhaustive details on others. I know so much more about swimming than I really needed to. This final presentation will likely continue along the same lines with a couple of really big announcements and minimal details. They'll dial into something, but we'll find out at the time. They are going to hold back on a lot of the details on some of the core systems for the live letter broadcasts that should come in April and June ahead of Stormblood's release. What final pieces of information can we expect for certain? Well, the second job is 100% going to be the leading story. Is it going to be Samurai, or Blue Mage, or Dancer? Well, we don't really have much longer to argue about it, so I guess get to it in the comments. But we may also get the full movie and the identity of the girl with the blonde hair. This is not 100%. I'm not completely confident on that, because both of these likely contain spoilers for the 3.55 story quests. And they may not be ready to spoil that since those aren't available till next week, but I don't know, this is the place to do it. This is where you would want to reveal that information. So I feel like it's pretty likely we'll see the full movie, get to see the new theme song, etc. I believe, personally, that the girl in red is Y'shtola's sister and the leader of the Alamegan Rebellion. I'm still on team 1 monk and 1 dancer, though I don't believe dancer will be the second job for the expansion's launch. NPCs can be things we can't be. An example is Yagiri. She was a ninja long before we were able to be one. So these are all the story-related stuff that may be coming. The next thing we will definitely get is the identity of the second beast tribe, along with the primal that they worship. We should also get a tour of the new housing ward, whether it's located in Ishgard or whether it's located somewhere in the new area. Depending on what else they have to talk about, this housing ward may get a lot of focus. It may be the swimming of this presentation. So they may dial in and show us all the different housing elements and things like that. I'm interested to know where the new housing ward is. I don't need to see every little detail of it, so hopefully they don't spend 20 minutes here, but I think it's possible. The other thing that we should definitely hear something about is crafting. Crafting hasn't been mentioned in any of the other presentations. This could signal that they're going to introduce a new vocation, something new gathering, something new crafting, but I still feel like maybe that's an outside chance. Instead, they may address what they're going to do to improve the specialist system. Definitely they should say something about crafting since it hasn't been mentioned yet, and there are a lot of players who really love the crafting in Final Fantasy, so I feel like it would be a misstep for them not to mention it at one of these presentations. As for what I want to hear more about in this presentation, it's some of the features that have been mentioned in Vegas or at Vegas and at Tokyo that didn't get many details. The combat system changes really interest me. I would like to know what they're going to do to change the sub-job abilities. They mentioned that it's going to be more like related to what job, what role you're fulfilling. So I'm hoping to hear more about that and how it'll work, and like maybe if they're going to be bound to their own special keys or something. Like it sounds like they're doing something with it that I'd like to know more about. I'd also like to hear about what ability pruning that we can expect, and how it's going to affect the game as a whole. I know a lot of players are concerned about the simplifying of the game, maybe dumbing it down, but I'd like to see it more as making room for new complexities at max level. And then I'd love to hear a whole lot more about the UI elements that are coming in Stormblood that are specific to jobs. I want to see how that works. I want to know how they're improving it and how they're providing any customability to it. I love some of the stuff that it did in the most recent 3.5 patch to improve how we were able to customize our action bars. I'm hoping that this new system also gets added into the customizations so that we can kind of tweak it to suit our needs. I'm hoping for something like a Power Auras. That would be excellent. I want to hear more about Eureka. This was the new zone type that they mentioned back at Las Vegas, and they said it's going to be something different than the Diadem and somehow connected to this expansion's relic weapon. I expect that this is going to be some sort of evergreen zone, a place where players can hang out and mostly work on solo objectives, but work cooperatively with other players who are around them, something that really benefits from being an MMO environment, but without requiring a group, so that players can just kind of organically hang out. I'd also like to hear more about their plans for how they're going to adjust the raid environment in Stormblood. This was another thing that they touched back on Vegas, that they suggested that they wanted to do something different, shake things up, but they haven't really provided a lot of clarity. I think back at Vegas I was worried that they were going to eliminate normal mode. I think the signals that the team sent since then have implied that that is not what they're planning on doing, but I would still like to hear more about it. So I'm very interested to hear from a combat perspective what the team is planning for Stormblood. And then let's go into my final thing, what I need to hear. Final Fantasy is becoming kind of a single-issue game for me. I've got a lot of friends who are taking a break, and when I'm all alone in the game, the only thing that really matters to me is collecting things. But I have nowhere to put any of it. I have one of every monk piece of combat gear, and it takes an entire retainer. I would like to collect gear for my caster job and for my ranged damage job, my machinist or bard, and a tanking job, but I can't collect a bunch of different appearances because I don't have space. You only have 2 retainers at base cost. Prior to Heavensward, they floated the idea of getting additional retainers, and then they revealed at the launch of Heavensward that those additional retainers would only be available for purchase. They were expanding the amount of extra retainers you could buy from 2 extra to 5 extra, and they were providing no additional storage as part of the monthly service. Rented bank space in a subscription MMO is just... it's unheard of. It drives me insane every time I think about it. No other MMO, I don't even think any free-to-play MMOs rent bank space. They charge for additional bank space. Guild Wars 2, they charge you. You want to have extra bank space? Great, pay a one-time fee. I would be almost okay with that. But renting it is just, infuriating. Okay, I feel like the Armoire is a very under-supported system. It's to the point where it's basically useless. Nearly everything, maybe absolutely everything that you can put in the Armoire, you can purchase from the Calamity vendor. And not for like absurd amounts of gil, like a few thousand gil. It's basically a drop in the bucket. You might as well just trash this stuff and buy it from the Calamity vendor. This inventory expansion is the development team's chance to produce a comprehensive system that really improves this definitively, instead of just providing some sort of band-aid. I feel like the revenue generated by the additional retainers should have funded development in this regard, and hopefully they will use it to produce some sort of wardrobe system similar to what other big MMOs have. If the storage expansion in Stormblood like Heaven's Ward before it, is revealed to be a premium feature, I will conclude that this additional revenue is viewed instead as a gravy train, and I will read it as a signal that the inventory system is unlikely to ever be fixed, because they want to keep that gravy train rolling. This is the single biggest issue for me. I like owning all of the things. I'm a digital hoarder, and if I cannot have all of the things because holding them is impossible, then it cuts off my raison d'etre, and I lose interest in the daily routine. Alright, well, we will see what Yoshida has to say tonight, and I'm hoping for some good news. What about you? What is your single most important issue in Final Fantasy XIV? What content or what systems most inspire you to stay subscribed and logging in every day? What do you do on a daily basis? And how would you like to see those systems improved or expanded on? Let me know in the comments what's important to you and how it's important to you. I'll be sure to provide any related details in the recap of the presentation, which I will post tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to the speculation video. In addition to the recap of the keynote, I will provide a recap of Live Letter after it airs, and then once the European FanFest has concluded completely, I will be producing a video that outlines everything that we know about Stormblood for sure. This will be a fact-based video covering kind of all of the details, rapid-fire things like what level we can get to, how many new jobs there are, what those jobs are, and like what roles they perform, things like that. Should be a very busy week, and I hope you'll follow this channel. You can also follow me on Twitter at itsboats for all the fantastic hot takes on the new information as it's provided. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.